Today I'm going to discuss sugar versus artificial sweetener. Now, there's different types of sugar and different forms, different textures of sugar. The first thing of thinking of sugar or artificial sweetener is the sweetness. Now, it has come across in an article that I read and researched when conducting this speech was sugar versus artificial sweetener. One of the things that was mentioned, and it was in an article in the MayoClinic.org website, was artificial sweetener came off sweeter. And that's one of the things that I actually performed here at home. I did my own little home study, which consisted of my parents and my two daughters. One thing that I did was, and something that people use, or a beverage that is normally ordered at restaurants or fast food places, was sweet tea. And I chose sweet tea because you have to use sugar, or you can put artificial sweetener in sugar, or excuse me, in the tea. One of the things that we use, and I'm just using this as an example, is Splenda, or you also have regular sugar. Now, when doing this little study here at home, I found that my family members preferred using sweet tea and regular sugar versus making the sweet tea with artificial sweetener. One of the things that came off, or that I was informed of, was the aftertaste that it had. Because of the chemicals that go into artificial sweetener, it tasted a little bit different, and that was a preference that they did not prefer. They preferred regular sugar because it came off very normal, although it's granulated. Once you stir in your sugar in the tea, it dissolves. Whereas there was that lingering aftertaste with the artificial sweetener. Now, the next topic is the various types of sugars. Like I said, you can get them in different brands or different textures. So, some of the options that people have and the different forms of sugar or that go into sugar would be not just beverages, but also in baking. You also get sugars in a lot of like sugar free, which is used with artificial sweetener. And some of the most common types of sugars that you can use in baking would be brown sugar. You have brown sugar, regular sugar. Some people have used cane sugar or raw sugar, which is also provided for beverages. Now, the most common artificial sweeteners would be Splenda, stevia, Sweet and Low, Equal, and Truvia, just to name a few. Now, the consistency of the sugar can come in the form of granules of sugar, or it can come in the form of a cane, the stick. It can also come in forms of powder. So that is one of the more common examples when going or using, and I'll show you again, the artificial sweetener. It comes in the form of a powder. Sugar can also contribute to many health issues, whereas sugar or the use of sugar, such as candy, for example, which does require sugar or has sugar, does cause tooth decay or cavities. Also, with artificial sweetener, it is made up of chemicals that actually has to go through an approval process. And after researching on MayoClinic.org, one of the things is that artificial sweeteners has to be approved before the release of its sale, before it can actually be manufactured, which goes through the process with the Food and Drug Administration for review for its safety because of the chemicals that are in the sugar. Sugar can also have added health risks, where sugar can raise blood sugar, which can cause diabetes. There's different types of diabetes, but that's something that people do have to look out for when consuming sugar. Also, the consumption of artificial sweetener. One of the things per the Mayo Clinic, it did state that it doesn't provide any nutritional value. So people, and the one added plus to artificial sweetener is that people on diets actually prefer or it's recommended to use artificial sweetener. I won't say Splenda, but artificial sweetener. Therefore, there are still risks with both sugar and artificial sweetener. And in my opinion, or my personal preference between sugar versus the artificial sweetener, my preference is artificial sweetener just because I'm a diabetic. But that's just something that I wanted to inform you all. Again, sugar versus the artificial sweetener.